think like a lot of people that are watching this video, I have been guilty from time to time of allowing my heart to rule my head where motorcycles are concerned. Now, some people are into Japanese bikes, some people are into specific Japanese bikes. It could be Hondas, Kawasaki, Suzuki. Some people favour other continental motorcycles, Ducati, BMW. But for me personally, and it is just my thing, I personally like modern classic bikes with old British brand names. And putting other, perhaps less known brands to one side for the moment, I would say my top three would be Triumph, Royal Enfield and Norton Motorcycle. But you will already know that if you've watched previous videos. Back in November 2019, I went to the Motorcycle Live show at the NEC in Birmingham. And once there, I happened upon the Norton stand. Now, Norton was a brand that hadn't really been on my radar because the bikes were just way out of my price range. And the reputation for quality and reliability wasn't exactly where it should have been for a premium brand. But then I saw the 650cc Atlas models and sort of fell in love with them. Rather expensive for a 650cc machine, but the quality appeared to be there. They weren't as yet in production, so it was a matter of just standing back really and seeing what happened. But suffice to say, the Atlas was on my radar. Then, of course, at the end of January last year, as well as the pandemic start-up, the beans, if you like, were finally spilled on Stuart Garner's exploits. The Norton brand collapsed and yet another dark cloud appeared over the head of the brand, and continued, if I'm honest, to get progressively darker during January last year and February. Now, the Norton brand had sort of been promised to rise from the ashes several times over the last few decades, and it had never actually happened, and it seemed to me, to be quite honest, that the brand had now gone. That was it. The catastrophic dishonesty of Stuart Garner, in my mind, had put the brand in a position where no one was going to touch it with a barge pole. Far too much damage had been caused to the brand. There was just too much distrust and scandal attached to it for anyone to seriously take the name up and try and push it ahead. Then throughout March there were sort of whispers that there was a buyer in the pipeline and talks were ongoing, but at the same time we had reports of Stuart Garner asset stripping and a little trip to China to sell some engine right. Then in April the news came through that TVS, the third biggest motorcycle manufacturer in India, had actually purchased Norton, with yet another promise to resurrect the brand and make it great again. Now, I've got to say, this was a huge surprise to me. Don't get me wrong, it was a welcome surprise. It was a company with the provenance, with the financial backup that had taken the brand on. A well-known Indian company that actually had the means to make it happen. Not some hopeful that was going to have to spend the next 10 years trying to get the financial backing to make it work. Now, TVS made it quite clear at the time that all they'd actually bought was the brand, the rights to some of the machines that had been developed by the previous Norton iteration, and the machinery that currently occupied the Norton factory. But they made it quite clear that they'd not purchased any bricks and mortar. All they had actually done is signed up to a 6-month lease of the old Norton factory in Leicestershire, after which time really they were pretty free to just pack everything up lock, stock and barrel and take it wherever they wanted, although they did intimate that their intention was to stay in Great Britain. Now, being in the position that I'm in, I did hear a lot of whispers in the industry that, you know, come the end of that 6 months, they would just pack up and take everything off to India, which, to be honest, would make perfect sense and wouldn't necessarily have been a bad thing. Historically, high-priced premium brand motorcycles have never been particularly successful. The failure rate is very high. And I think for most motorcyclists who traditionally don't have an awful lot of money to spend, a slightly watered down, more reasonably priced, not necessarily cheap motorcycle would have been more welcome than, the iteration that we'd already been looking at. I think what I'm trying to say is, to me, as a dyed-in-the-wool motorcyclist, the choice that TVS Norton were making didn't make sense to me. Perhaps because it was going to keep their bikes out of my reach. But having said that, I'm not an experienced motorcycle manufacturer. TVS Norton is. So we've got to assume that they've crunched the numbers and they know that it is viable. And with that in mind, the Atlas is back on my radar as a possible future bike. We'll see how things go. And that will be the subject of an up-and-coming video. But what of Norton TVS now? Where are they now? And what are they up to? Now, on the 28th of January, Norton released, a press release. And I have experienced quite a bit of difficulty getting hold of it. Norton didn't really recognise me as the motorcycle press, so it took a bit of doing. Basically, I just made a nuisance of myself until they handed it over. Now, initially, this press release didn't seem very interesting to me. It wasn't the sort of thing I really wanted to know. I wanted to know about bikes. But it does actually show a very firm commitment on behalf of TVS, not just to the brand, but also to their workforce here in the UK. So what I'm going to do is read it out to you. And then there are just some bullet points which I'll cover off at the end. The Norton Motorcycle Company Limited has announced that the company is moving to a new headquarters, the state-of-the-art production site located in Solihull, West Midlands. It will open following a multi-million-pound investment by Norton's Indian parent company, the TVS Motor Company, and it will be the most advanced manufacturing facility in the 122-year-old motorcycle brand's history. The premises will be the central hub for all Norton's operations, providing a permanent base for all staff. The new headquarters will be the home to design, engineering, purchasing, sales, marketing and support teams, as well as the skilled production team that is resuming manufacture of the motorcycles. Some of the specialist tooling and equipment previously used by Norton has been carried over to the new site in Solihull, but the site is also benefiting from a substantial new investment. The new manufacturing facility will make use of modern-day quality-assured production processes. Skilled technicians will deploy bespoke bike-building techniques and state-of-the-art new manufacturing equipment to ensure all bikes are built with great precision and quality, a hallmark of both Norton and the TVS Motor Company. Norton will resume production of the Commando Classic model at the Solihull site, building a limited quality, I think that actually means limited quantity, to honour customers that had ordered and paid for a deposit on these bikes. Production of the V4 SS will commence soon, and the full opening of the facility is expected in the first quarter of 2021. Now, I'm from Hull, so I'm going to completely butcher this name. Sudarshan Venu, Joint Managing Director of TVS Motors, said the opening of the new headquarters represents a significant step forward for Norton Motorcycles. The opening of this state-of-the-art facility will create the foundations for a sustainable, long-term future for Norton. The new bikes will meet the world-class standards that our customers expect. Mr. Venu goes on to say, 2020 has been a tough year for the world, but we are excited to be moving into our new home, and we are delighted that this has been created by Norton and TVS teams in just 9 months. This new facility, underpinned by strong quality processes, will produce bikes truly worthy of the illustrious Norton name and take it into the future. We are setting out to create a future for the company, our employees, our customers and our partners that lives up to the highest expectations and enable Norton once again to become a real force that its history deserves. Now, the press release doesn't actually end there. There are a couple of paragraphs from Andy Street, the Mayor of the West Midlands, but I think that's probably of limited interest to you and it will drag this video out unnecessarily, and that's my job. But it's all very encouraging stuff for the British economy and the British motorcycle industry. Now, it has been intimated to me that the Atlas models will commence production later this year. But as I've said, that's going to be the subject of another video. Now, those bullet points, some of them do repeat what I've just read out to you, but the most important ones are that Norton Motorcycles has now actually made the move to Solihull, and that the commissioning of the factory is very much near its end. Most importantly is that over 50 high quality new jobs have already been created, and more are expected to follow as the business actively grows, providing a welcome boost to the local economy. So I think the main takeaway from this is that despite 9 months virtual radio silence from Norton, they have been working very hard to the commitments that they promised, and everything is running pretty much to schedule. And I will of course keep you updated on any future developments. Now, I think that's about it for this week. I will of course be back with my vintage video selection tomorrow morning. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, leave a like. If you haven't, leave a dislike. It's all the same to me. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel. It's totally free. And if you do subscribe, don't forget to hit the notification bell and ensure that your notifications are enabled on your account settings. It's still very slippery and snowy outside, so if you have to ride, please ride safely. And I'll see you soon.